Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda, mistake number 7. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it, get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement, and if you're just now joining us and happen to miss the last couple of episodes, we've really been covering some neat stuff on the idea of trying to go back in time. That clip you just heard is Marlon Brando in the famous scene on the waterfront where he realizes his boxing career is washed up, and he says to fellow actor Rod Steiger, who is supposed to be his manager, looking out for him, turns out he wasn't, but who says to him, "I could have been somebody." And maybe that's you. Maybe you're sitting there, depending on your age. We've got a fluctuating stock market, as we record this show on November 6th. 2018. It's election day as we're recording. We'll see how the results turned out because this show is pre-recorded, but here you go right here. Here's an example of woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'm going to get into the meat of the show, but I had a gentleman in yesterday on November 5th, and he said, "Tony, I'm going to move some of my money over to you. I want to move it into safer territory. Since we last met," this is a true story. This is what I see day in and day out, folks, in the financial trenches. He said, "Tony, since we last met 3 weeks ago, my account is down $30,000. Now, again, I went through this in '08, folks. And again, I don't know what the market's going to do. But what he told me, he says, is I just can't get the mustard up to move this now. I'm going to wait to see what the election results are. And I thought, whoo, boy, okay. Could be. And then I probably should have asked, and I didn't. So what are you hoping for? Are you hoping a Democratic or Republican House? And the point was he realized it was very unpredictable. He'd already lost $30,000. Obviously, rightfully so. If he moved it over to us right now, he's going to have to deal with a $30,000 loss. But also by waiting to see what happens, he could be even dealing with a bigger loss, depending on who's in Congress and who does what. I mean, who knows? That's the whole point. So what we've been doing is trying to say, look, we can't erase the past, and we certainly cannot predict the future of the stock market. But if you're a saver is defined as if you're more concerned about the return of your money than on it, I've got really good news. Because what we've been doing the last 2 weeks and what we're going to do today, we're covering the 7 biggest mistakes savers make with their money, and here's the key, and how to avoid them. So the prior 2 shows, we've covered mistakes number 1 through 6. By the way, these are taken right out of the book that I wrote several years ago. Great book that deals very simplistically with money. It's called Don't Follow the Herd. Yeah, maybe that's you. Maybe you feel like you've been drinking downstream from the rest of the herd and you're wondering why the water tastes funny. Well, that's just it. Many of you are walking by blind faith. Many of you have not understood the basic rules of engagement when you're having to deal with all these financial institutions. And today I'm going to share with you the true secret sauce, a term we've trademarked, and it's mistake number 7, not having any mailbox money for life. And you might be saying, oh, boy, there you go, Tony, talking about that mailbox money. I've heard you talk about it. That's what your granddad enjoyed, right? Is that mailbox money? And I would have to say, yes, but what was good for him, when he retired in 1978, that was a long time ago, why in the world wouldn't that possibly be good for you? So before we get into the details of mailbox money, let's think about this a minute. Let's just simply define what mailbox money is. There's basically 3 types of mailbox money you might be able to enjoy. Number 1 would be a traditional pension plan. A pension plan. For instance, I had a couple in last night. She was a teacher, actually a principal all of her life. She was eligible for the teacher's retirement in the state of Kentucky and now retired, and quite frankly, drawing a pretty nice pension. And what was interesting, she wasn't aware of this until recently. She was talking to somebody, and they were talking about her husband's Social Security. That would be mailbox money number 2. So a pension is the first form of mailbox money, which means it's a guaranteed income that lasts as long as you do, lasts the rest of your life. Social Security is what we call the second form of mailbox money. So get this. So her husband is getting ready to retire. He's trying to figure out when to draw his Social Security. She's not eligible for Social Security, all right? Teachers are not eligible for Social Security because they don't pay into the system. The problem is, and what she had no idea is, let's say, 2 or 3 years from now, whenever the husband decides to draw his Social Security, let's say it's $2,500 a month, okay? So she's drawing her pension. He's going to be getting Social Security, which obviously jointly, while they're married, they'll enjoy. But here's what she didn't know. Maybe you don't know this. When he dies, if he dies first, she gets none of his Social Security. You see, normally when a person dies, the spouse gets that benefit, depending on her benefit or his benefit. But in this case, she has 2 forms of mailbox money, the pension and his Social Security. But when he dies, if he dies first, she loses one of her forms of mailbox money. And folks, you take $2,500 a month off the table for the rest of your life, that is a lot of money. So let's talk about, and we're going to go into really deep detail. With us in the studio, by the way, is America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron Orander, producing the show, along with his sidekick, Matt Stebbins. And one of the things we've been talking about lately is, Tony, you've been doing this so long, and I think they're very objective because they get to produce the show, they listen to the show. Matt is in charge of looking at all the analytics. Many of you, by the way, we appreciate you going to our website, and it gives us great feedback. And we've also realized that a lot of you, like right now, if you want to check out our website, you can go to your mobile device at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. A lot of people are going to our website through the mobile device. And I think what Matt has noticed and what Aaron has noticed is, Tony, when you really slow it down, just really make sure to hone in on one point, do a deeper dive, the amount of traffic that goes to our site goes up. And I guess what I'm realizing is, after 34 years in the financial trenches, it's just like we said last week, as Will Rogers says, everybody's ignorant, only on different subjects. So I realize that many of you savers out there, this is not a familiar world. How to take money you've created, saved, and then convert that into cash so you can enjoy your retirement. I mean, where do you get that training? Aaron, did you learn about how to do retirement planning in grade school? Matt, how about you? No, they don't. Yeah, I mean, where do you learn about retirement planning? And what's so comical about this, we spend all these years in school, we watch all this TV, and then all of a sudden we get to retirement, which most people do retire, and most people have no clue how to take what they've worked so hard to create. Think about this. You've worked 30, 35, 40 years. You put your life's savings away somewhere. Maybe you blindly threw it in a 401k or whatever, and nobody's there to coach you on how to use and enjoy and protect that money. That would almost be like, I'm just thinking out loud as we talk about mailbox money, that would almost be like putting all your life savings in real estate. And nobody took time to tell you about loans and interest and tax laws and depreciation and capital gains and the trouble with renters, or all of the pros and cons. I mean, and then all of a sudden you're wondering why you're 70 years of age, your property is dilapidated, you sell it, like somebody came in the other day and wondered why they got all these capital gains. My point is not to don't do real estate. I'm not saying that. My point is there's a lot involved in investing. And there's a lot involved in retirement. And whether you want to act like you know anything about money or not, you're going to have to deal with it. And that's why I think we've been so successful. We break things down very simply. We work only with savers, and we use products like I'm getting ready to describe that provide mailbox money for life. So when I come back, remember there's 3 types of mailbox money. There's pensions, which many of you don't have or don't qualify for. There's Social Security, which is probably not going to be enough. So if you're a saver and you don't want to run out of money in retirement, and you want to figure out a way to get some of that mailbox money I keep talking about, you stay tuned because I'm going to show you how to do just that. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back. Tired of getting up every day and heading off to work with no end in sight? I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and I've helped lots of people retire much sooner than they ever thought possible, and maybe I can help you do the same.
If you're over the age of 50 and have at least $250,000 to invest, schedule your free meeting with Tony to see if you can retire sooner than you think. Simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
Well, there you go. Maybe you can't change the past. Marlon Brando sitting there, especially as a boxer. Every once in a while, have you ever watched some of the clips of Evander Holyfield or some of these guys making a comeback, and they're a little out of shape, but then they fight against these guys. They look like me out in the ring. They'll be like 50-something years old, and they're all overweight, and I'm thinking, man, I mean, you're going to take a beating. I guess you need money that bad. But, for a boxer, it's over, basically. But it's not over for you. I don't care whether you're 50 or 70. If you're sitting there saying, Tony, I'm tired of all this risk in the stock market. I'm tired of earning 1% to 2% at the bank. I want a consistent, safe return on my money. And I want that return for the rest of my life without any worry. I like to call this sleep insurance, by the way. Tony, is there any place I can get that? And if you're listening and you're wide awake, yes, you can get it right here with the Worry-Free Retirement. We call it mailbox money. And if you're just now joining us, we're talking about the 3 forms of mailbox money. Mailbox money is defined as guaranteed income. Remember, guaranteed income, not hope-for income, hope-so income, guaranteed income that lasts as long as you do. So there's pensions, which, again, many of you don't even have those. Young people don't even know what a pension is. Those went the way of Led Zeppelin, basically. Then you got Social Security, which, again, is a little iffy, but I don't think the system's going to go broke. Obviously, they're going to have to make some changes. This is why I'm pushing for a strong economy, folks. If you're worried about Social Security, you better hope people are making a lot of money and the wages are going up, because that contributes, theoretically, to the FICA system, to the Social Security system, assuming our politicians don't waste it on, $84 commodes or whatever they might be spending money on up there. So the idea is Social Security, we're going to assume, is still around, but we must assume it's not going to be enough. So what's the third type of mailbox money? Drum roll, please, Aaron. Oh, yeah, my favorite. I love them. Fixed indexed annuities, or even fixed annuities. So a private annuity, let's go over that. Make sure we understand, what is an annuity, Tony? We did a workshop. I don't remember that one, Aaron. It was called What the Heck is an Annuity? And it really was. We had a big turnout because we talk about annuities all the time. There's more and more people talking about annuity. Wall Street, which used to laugh at the prospect of annuities. You know who's selling a lot of annuities now? Wall Street. You go on some of these big firm websites and you start searching around, they're talking about annuities. And that's because Wall Street knows a little known secret that I've known for years. Their products are not guaranteed. Annuities are. So if you're a saver and you're wanting some guarantees, I'm not talking about putting 100% of your money in annuities, but I sure would consider putting a good portion or a good chunk in annuities, because they are the only asset, the only investment that can guarantee an income you can never outlive, or what I call mailbox money. So what happens with an annuity, Tony? Let's take an example. So you may be sitting there, you're driving down the road, and you said, Tony, I need some mailbox money, man. I'm getting nervous about the stock market. I'm a few years away from retirement. This is particularly attractive for those of you who are already 59 and a half. Many of you don't know you can already get mailbox money. So let's say that's you. So you're 59 and a half. That's the magical age where the majority of 401ks will let you roll over your 401k to somebody like Tony Walker Financial and get some mailbox money in place. See, many of you don't know you can do that. You've had this 401k hog-tied all these years. You can't touch it. You don't even know what the taxes are going to be. You got a tax tumor that's chasing you around. You got all this risk. You have no clues what the fees are. Everybody's enjoying this money but you. So if you are 59 and a half or older, and we can confirm this with you to make sure it's a possibility with your employer, but why in the world wouldn't you consider, I'm just saying consider, taking that money out of your 401k, all right? Again, assuming you're 59 and a half or older. There's no taxes if you do this properly, no fees, no cost. And what we do is we set up an individual IRA annuity. We do this in our practice all the time. We do hundreds of these a year. We're known throughout the country. In fact, I've done public speaking to other advisors about how to properly do this to help savers create mailbox money. But anyway, all you would do, we would contact your employer's custodian. Let's say that's Shifting Sands of Texas or whoever you might be having your money with. We call them up, and then we ask them to roll that money into one of our accounts. We won't name the name of the insurance companies. We represent a bunch of them. But we have the insurance company set up an IRA annuity. That money then goes to that IRA annuity. Again, yeah, eventually you're going to pay taxes, but there is no taxable transfer to move that over. We then take that and purchase an annuity. Now, usually we purchase what's called a fixed indexed annuity, and if you want mailbox money down the road, we would put what's called an income rider on there. It's called an income rider. Now, this is where if you've been heading to dinner seminars, there's a bunch of annuity peddlers out there, this is where you have to be careful. Because an income rider, its sole purpose, the reason it pays such a high rate of return, most income riders now are in the 6 to 7% range. That's what they're going to pay you on your money. But there is a catch. You have to agree with this large amount of money that's going to start accumulating. I met somebody the other day. We had two people come in, Aaron. They've been with me quite a while. They've got over $1 million in just two of their annuities with us that are in what's called income riders. Now, I had to remind them that $1 million that's sitting there, actually it's an old income rider. It's growing at 7%. I've got an old one I've got still growing at 8%. Yeah, Aaron even he's over here licking his chops all of a sudden, wanting to know more about these things. See if you would actually, instead of just producing the show, Aaron, actually listen occasionally. But anyway, so these huge income riders are built up, and they said, hey, by the way, Tony, if me and my wife here, if me and Martha get killed in a common accident, what happens to that income rider? And I said, well, that's a good question. The problem is that income rider is only available for you and Martha. It does not go to the kids. The contract value of the annuity, that's what's growing, that's what's participating in the market. We can't tell you what that's going to be, but that's what would go to the kids. So the income rider's sole purpose, we mentioned a while back, we had a company, and we represent this company. We got a bunch of companies that sell these products, but they were boasting of 30% bonuses. And man, we had people calling us out of the woodwork. They'd been to workshops, dinner seminars, and I mean, they were just wanting to move all their money into this product. And I said, now slow down a minute. You know, that 30% is what's being attached to the income side. It's not available to your family. And they said, well, that wasn't told to us, Tony. I thought this was just money we could liquidate one day. And I said, no, you have to agree to take that out over a period of time. That's how the insurance companies, just like any financial institution, that's how they're going to make money on your money. They have to retain some of that principal in order to invest it and collect money on your money. And in return, what they're doing, the risk the insurance company is taking when we talk about mailbox money, they're going to guarantee that even theoretically if the money runs out. Now, let's take this example. Let's say you had $500,000 at the bank. All right, I haven't run these numbers, but you can visualize this. So you put $500,000 at the bank, and let's say it's earning 2% interest. So that's $10,000 a year in interest. Well, obviously, if you wanted to protect that principal, you would just tell the bank to send you that interest. So the banker says, fine, I'll send you the $10,000. There's your income. And back 10, 15 years ago, this is what people did. They threw their money in a bank. It was paying 6%, and $30,000 a year was sufficient. The $500 is protected. When they die, the $500 goes to the kids. Everybody's happy. Now at 2%, that doesn't work because you can't probably live on $10,000 a year. So what do? So we look in this example at putting that $500,000 into an annuity with an income rider. Now what the insurance company says is, look, we don't know if you're going to have anything left at the end of this gig. It depends on how long you live. But let's say in this example, depending on your age, we have to run these numbers for each person. So don't take this to the bank theoretically here. We're just talking about money, okay, and income riders. But let's say this income rider has a payout rate of 6%. Depending on your age, this would be very common. So they're going to take that $500,000. They're going to pay you 6% of $500,000. So in this example, the annuity, the insurance company, is guaranteeing you $30,000 a year no matter how long you live. Now, if the bank were to do that, if the bank said, well, sure, we'll pay you $30,000 a year, well, of course, it's only making $10,000, so that means they're going to have to subtract that first year alone $20,000 from the $500,000. Aaron, is this making sense? Are you listening? It's not. It is?
Yeah, it's not.
You're listening, but it's not. Okay. Okay, there we go. Thank you. That's the other thing we said. I said, Aaron, you and Matt sitting over there doing all the producing. Occasionally I'm going to look over there. By the way, folks, we do have a TV show that's very, very popular called The Worry-Free Retirement. The only reason I say that, Matt and Aaron are great at putting graphics on the screen where I'm talking, so it is really difficult sometimes to explain numbers verbally when you don't have the visuals to look along. That's why, let me say this. That this is actually pretty good stuff, Aaron, because as I think out loud, many of you are meeting with advisors. I had a gentleman in yesterday. He said, every time I meet with my advisor, he made the motion of his hand going over his head. He goes, it just goes right over my head. And I said, why is that? And he said, because all they want to do is talk about numbers. They don't show me how I can use and enjoy my money, which is what we're showing them how to do, and they're going to do business with us. But that's just it. The reason I like to meet in person with people, I'm talking about me meeting with you in person, is so I can illustrate in writing and graphically in person how this stuff plays out. So I get it. I mean, Aaron's being very honest here. This gets very complicated. I get it. I don't know anything about flying airplanes. I flew to Florida Saturday to meet with a client and flew right back. I knew how to get on the plane. I kind of know how the plane works. It starts up and it goes down the runway and it's on these little tires and it takes off. But if the pilot said, Tony, can you get in here and fly here? I'll show you how to do it real quick. I mean, I'd be lost. I don't know anything about aviation. And it's the same thing with finances, folks. This is all I do day in and day out. But what I can tell you is if you take $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 out of a CD in that example, at some point, 10, 15 years down the road, whenever that money runs out, it's gone. So let's say it is 15 years. Let's say you're taking out $30,000 a year from a $500,000 CD that's only paying $10,000. The banker is going to call you up at some point and say, hey, Charlie, this is all well and good, but you're out of money. There is no more income. And then what are you going to do, right? You're out of money. An annuity, an insurance company has the wherewithal, this is how they set these contracts up, to make sure that regardless of whether there is actually any money in there or not, they are contractually obligated to continue to make that $30,000 payment or whatever that payment might be. So there's a great book, by the way. Let me, before we take a break here real quick, there's a great little booklet I wrote, and it literally is called Mailbox Money for Life. And we've got this now as a free download. I would encourage you, there's also a booklet called the Annuity Decision Guide for Savers. So both those booklets are free. Both those booklets can be found at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. I would really encourage you, if you own a current annuity, thinking about buying an annuity, recently been to a dinner seminar pitching annuities and you're totally confused, or maybe you got somebody pressuring you to buy an annuity, you better slow down and get one of these booklets, because I've been doing this a long time and I've written these booklets so the average saver can make sense of annuities, and then you can decide if it sounds good to you. If you want to read that booklet, then say, hey, Tony, I want to meet with you in person and go over this in detail, and I want to see how this would play out for me and my situation. I would be happy to do that with you at no cost or obligation. So why don't you do that? Why don't you get over, if you're on your phone, right, you log on right now. It takes about 30 seconds to download this thing. It's great stuff. TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You'll just scroll down on the homepage. You'll see it right there, the Mailbox Money for Life booklet and the Annuity Decision Guide. They're absolutely free. If you're not handy or close to the internet, give us a call at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-WALK. And when you call in, just tell us you want a copy of the Annuity Decision Guide for Savers, as well as the booklet, Mailbox Money for Life. Well, when we return, I'm going to give you a few examples of ways that you can increase your income without any risk and make sure that you've got a game plan that you can count on in retirement. I'll be right back.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Annuities. Some people love them and some people hate them. Regardless of how you feel about annuities, one thing's for sure, annuities are the only financial product that can guarantee an income you can never outlive. I'm Tony Walker, and regardless of whether you're thinking about buying an annuity or you have a current annuity that you would like me to review, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Since 9/11, we've written over 2,500 annuities, and we can help you by getting started now.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Tony Walker. And, I guess doing this for 34 years, I've gone through more schooling than you can imagine, studied under some of the great minds in this industry, read more books than you can imagine on finance. And if somebody had to say to me, okay, Tony, what have you really learned over 34 years of talking to literally thousands of people and being on TV for 20 years and radio, et cetera, workshops, I would have to say that the art of retirement planning, that's what I am, I'm a retirement specialist, is figuring out how to make all this complicated stuff, how to make it simple and easy to understand. The worry-free retirement, the concept of the worry-free retirement is trying to help you feel like you're in more control of your money. Let's take that example. I don't know if you've ever had a bad experience flying. I have. But for instance, back this past Saturday, I had to meet this client kind of quickly down in Orlando, Florida. All right. It was a very urgent situation. So I literally got up. I flew out of Nashville. Okay. I caught a flight at 7:20. Got to the Orlando airport, met him at the airport, met for an hour, got back to the terminal, had to catch the flight back. I was already back. This was in a period of 6 hours. And I was really, really dependent on this airline, I won't name who they were, on this airline to make sure everything ran efficiently. They kept everything very simple, the process of boarding and offboarding. And I knew the airport. I know the Orlando airport very well. I knew my way how to navigate to find this person. And it was a breeze because I knew where I was going. I had everything laid out and planned. This was a very simple trip. Fortunately, too, when I met with the person, this person was very confused about some huge decisions she had to make. When I laid out everything with our proprietary process, our software, and explained everything, she got her checkbook out and she said, well, this makes complete sense. So the point was, we really had to get face-to-face so I could show her exactly how mailbox money was going to help her. And maybe that's you right now. Maybe you say, well, this has been an entertaining show, Tony, and you sound like you know what you're talking about. But I feel like that episode you covered a month ago when you said lost as a ball in high weeds. That's me. I don't really know what to do with my money. I think this mailbox money sounds pretty good, but what's the next step, Tony? What can I do to take control of my money? Well, number one, we've made it very simple. We mentioned this earlier. You need to consider getting this Mailbox Money for Life booklet. It is so easy and simple to understand once you read this little booklet. This is not a 48-page War and Peace on finances. This is simple stuff. It's called Mailbox Money for Life. To get a free copy and download it, just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Scroll down. There it is. Click on it. Download it. If you're don't have access to the internet, call us at 877-499-WALK, 877-499-WALK. And then better yet, let's just meet. We meet in person at either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky office. That's easy to do as well. Back on the homepage, just click on that Let's Get Started button. All of your information is totally confidential. There is no cost or obligation whatsoever to meet with me. So let's do it. Let's just meet. TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on the Let's Get Started or give us a call right now at 877-499-WALK. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. I look forward to talking to you next week. We're going to actually go back in time, and we're going to do a deeper dive into the 401k plan, mistake number 2, and find out if you're walking by blind faith when it comes to your 401k. I look forward to talking to you then.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it.